when I look at my buyer consultations, there's three main questions that I ask that maybe you can ask yourself before you're ready to buy a house. Depending on how these questions go, you might find yourself completely being prepared for the home purchase, or you might realize that, hey, I'm actually not ready. I should take a step back. Now, before I begin, if you happen to find anything of value in this video, I would really appreciate that you hit that subscription button and like button. It really means a lot for the channel. And just so you know, I have an amazing Discord community of a lot of people buying homes like you. And I go live on Twitch every day, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So if you want to hop on and visit me in any of those resources, feel free to. If not, thanks for stopping by anyways. So what is the first question that you should ask yourself on your home purchase when doing a consultation or you're consulting with yourself? Literally sit down in front of a mirror and talk to yourself. And what was the first question you ask yourself? A lot of people think, well, what's the monthly payment look like? What kind of house do you want? And a lot of times agents lead with that because we know once there is a house you like, that the decision-making process becomes a lot easier. That's why a lot of car dealerships want to show you the cars first before they find out if you qualify or not, right? So they give you that thing to dangle in front of you, that carrot, if you will, to dangle in front of you. The first question you should ask yourself when buying a home is, when would you like to move in by? Another question, a form of that question could be, what does your timeline look like? A little complicated version of that. But essentially, it's as simple as what day and month would you like to be moved in by? And from this specific question, you can find out a lot of things. It's right now September 27th. If you tell me, well, I want to move in October 15th, well, I'm going to say no, it's not happening. The timeline just simply doesn't work. You start really figuring out a lot of things. So whatever, let's say if you have a lease end date, well, you're going to find out that your close of escrow date could be technically a week or two before that, but you might want to give yourself 15 to 30 days prior to get that started. So realistically, let's say your lease expires, I don't know, March 7th, then you really shouldn't be closing until mid-February, right? So now we find that that is your targeted date. Now, once you have this targeted date, we can find out a lot of things. First of all, I've had people make fun of me of the way I say February. I don't know how to say it. So let's say mid-February is going to be their target date of closing. Well, an average escrow is about 30 days. That's like the period where you do your inspections, you get your final loan approval, all that fancy stuff with the house that you see on, well, actually you don't see that part in the HGTV, but that's just the escrow. That takes about 30 days. So that means that really you should be under contract and officially have your offer accepted by mid-January, right? So if your target date, whatever it is, work your way 30 days prior to that, that's the day that you should essentially have a house under contract. Now, it's not going to take you one day to find the house. It might take you a week. It might take you a month, however long it will take you. At that point, you work your way back further. If mid-January is when you should be under contract, you think it's going to take you a month to find a house, well, maybe you should start looking mid-December. You should never add more time to this because let's say you say, I'm going to take 2 months to look. Well, now you're going to start looking in mid-November. What happens if you find the house mid-December? It turns out you only need 1 month. Well, now you're under contract mid-December. Now you're closing mid-January. And now you're in your house in January, which is great, but you have about a month or two gap before your lease expires. So always add enough time that you'd be okay if you push it. So like a month prior is perfect because if you happen to push it a month sooner, odds are it won't affect it that much. But 3 or 4 months is definitely going to affect things a lot more. And also remember that your first payment isn't due the very first month you close. It's always due. Essentially, the way you figure out how your first month payment is due is you skip the month you close, you skip the following month. The following month is when you're going to have your first payment. So that's always the first question you should ask yourself. When would you like to be moved in by? Once you understand this principle, it really helps you figure out if you're even in the right position to talk to somebody yet. If you're can't even move until next year, way at the end of the next year, then why are we talking, right? Why are we having this super deep conversation right now when really the focus should be on preparing, not necessarily looking about the market or whatnot? Or you can really start figuring out, oh
crap, I need to be moving out like soon. I need to put the batteries on.
In Spanish, it's called ponte las pilas. It doesn't really make sense in English, put the batteries on, but you know what I mean. You got to get the ball rolling. That sounds a little better. So once you understand this, the next question to ask yourself, is it about the house? No, not yet. Common thing you're going to find out here. Second question you should ask yourself is, how prepared are you for this market? Keyword on this market. What do I mean by prepared? I mean your savings. What does your saving situation look like? What does your credit score look like? Preparation is going to be key. When you're looking to buy, that's not the time to start fixing things. You already have to have been prepared. So that's why even if you're not looking to buy till years from now, you should still start preparing, get your credit up. Don't follow the principles of just not having credit. You want to have your credit higher. You want to save money. So what does that mean? Well, I know, let's just throw some numbers out there. Let's say you're buying a $300,000 house, 3% down is $9,000. Okay. Well, you might just have $9,000 saved up and say, well, that's good. I have enough. Well, keyword, this market. This is a good opportunity for your realtor or yourself to talk about market conditions. Now, if you're not talking to somebody right now, it is definitely worth talk to someone you trust and just say, hey, how's the market right now? And don't let them give you some BS thing. I caught myself the other day on stream. Someone was like,
hi, how's the market?
And I say, oh, it's really tough.
And I had to stop myself. I was like, whoa, hold on. I just said that just blindly without thinking. Let me actually give you an accurate thought, right? So call to someone that just recently bought. You have to have known somebody. You're not just someone that lives by themselves watching my video right now, hopefully not on the toilet. You know somebody who's bought, call them and have a conversation with them and get an idea of market conditions. So the reason why I specifically say this market is because, like, for example, this specific market we're in right now, it could change. Your buyers are paying their closing cost. Buyers might need an extra 5 or 10K to potentially waive their contingency waiver. Buyers might need extra savings to pad any repairs they might do because they're buying a house that probably needs work. A lot of things to really prepare for that you might not know that you need to have prepared. So this is an excellent time to talk about that. Another thing, like I said, credit score earlier. Right now in this market, FHA is completely getting annihilated. That's like less than 10% of all closings. So having a credit score above 680 or 700 is going to be super helpful. So how prepared are you for this market? You might find out that you're not as prepared as you thought you were. Now you have to go back and get a plan B and come back when you are better prepared. And if the market does shift and it is a little better or a little worse, well, you're going to be in a much better position than you were prior. So either way, it works out. So at this point, you know your timeline. And if that didn't knock you out, you talked about, are you prepared? And if you feel pretty prepared, you must be feeling pretty good about yourself. Well, this is where we're going to have the difficult conversation of differentiating affordability and qualification. So third question to ask yourself is, what can you afford? What can you afford? Not what can you pre-qualify for? What can you afford? Giving you some scenario right here. Editor's going to throw numbers out for you. So thank you, Lee and his team, for editing these videos. Amazing job. You're the best, Lee. So let's say I have a situation where a family makes $5,000 a month. Well, to qualify for conventional, I think the max DTI, debt to income allowable, is 50% of your gross monthly income, which means 5,000 multiplied by 50% or 0.50 or divided in half is $2,500. Okay. So let's say this family maybe has a car payment of $200 and some credit card payments of $100. So take out $300. They qualify for a total of $2,200 smackaroos. Okay. They might see that and that might be like $420,000, $450,000 and be like, let's go look at some houses right now. Hold on there, partner. If you go buy a house with a $2,200 payment, remember, $5,000 is not what they're taking home. They're maybe taking home very generously here, $4,000, probably closer to $38,000, but let's just say $4,000, okay? Well, $2,200 is more than half of your income. That is what's considered house broke. So how do you find out what you can afford? There's a lot of models here, and I made videos about this here. You can check out the one I made here, a little older, but more detailed about this. One of my favorite rules is 28% of your gross. It's just easy to use. Yes, there's a lot more layers to it, but on the glance, it's easy to calculate. 28% of your gross. Well, 28% of your gross for this family is actually $1,400. So they actually need to be at $1,400 a month to find what they can afford. And maybe they might push it a little higher, but either way, it's a cognitive, you're making a... It's a cognitive decision. You're actually thinking about what you're doing rather than just being blindly told you qualify for this amount and that's the route you go. Because remember, a realtor nor a lender will stop and say, hey, you can't afford this. They're going to see the price range, pre-qualification amount, and they're going to say, I have a job to do, let's do it. Not because they're bad people, but they have a job to do, and its a job will be easier if you're pre-qualified for more. Now, if you tell those folks, hey, $1,400 might be, I don't know, $250, I only qualify for $250, well, in that case, in Phoenix or other areas, that might not be doable anymore. You find out, well, maybe even though I can't qualify, maybe I can't afford a house yet. Maybe we find a part-time job, or maybe the spouse gets to work and maybe with the extra 1 or 2K that she makes or he makes, then now you're making more money, whatever the case may be. Either way, you're having more deeper conversations than just what do I qualify for. So after answering these 3 questions, which is essentially what I go through every consultation or pre-home buyer meeting I have for first-time home buyers specifically, they have a very excellent idea if they're even ready to go. If you answered positively for each one of these questions, you're probably ready to buy a house. So then the next steps become, well, what do I do now? Good thing is I have a lot of great videos to help you in this channel, and if you, of course, I'll be making more, so you can hit subscribe, and I'll see you on the next ones. But other than that, I appreciate you guys watching, and I hope that this video helped you.